The werewolf, also known as the lycanthrope, is a shapeshifter cursed or compelled to transform from human to wolf, often under the full moon. This primal figure haunts folklore across continents, embodying the tension between civilization and savagery. The idea of humans taking on wolf-like traits is ancient and embedded in cultures all over the world. Stories of transformation, of man becoming beast, of civility unraveling beneath the pull of instinct abound. In the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh rejects the goddess Ishtar by recalling how she turned one of her previous lovers into a wolf. In Norse sagas, the wolf-cloaked Viking warriors known as Ulfhednar channeled the wolf's rage in battle. In Celtic and Germanic lore, the wolf is liminal, a creature of twilight, neither tame nor wild, caught between worlds. And in Greek mythology, we find an impactful presentation of the werewolf. The most popular version of this tale tells of how the father of all gods, Zeus, appears before King Lycaon of Arcadia. Recognizing Zeus for what he is, King Lycaon tries to test him. Is Zeus really all-knowing? Would he recognize if King Lycaon served him human flesh instead of animal meat? It is said then that King Lycaon would butcher his own son and serve the flesh to Zeus. But Zeus, instantly recognizing the nature of the meal, was filled with disgust and punished the king with an enduring curse, making Lycaon a wolf. From the king's name, the term lycanthropy was birthed, lycanthropy being the condition of becoming a wolf. The tale of King Lycaon would be told as a tale of caution among the Greeks, but would also survive through multiple cultures, and the idea of the werewolf would spread and evolve. By the Middle Ages, in Europe particularly, werewolves were feared as agents of Satan. Accused of witchcraft or of making pacts with the devil, men were often tortured into confessions. In 1589, for example, one such man named Peter Stump would become known as the Werewolf of Bedburg after confessing under torture to horrific crimes while in wolf form. Medieval inquisitions and witch trials often included accusations of lycanthropy, and so the idea of the werewolf would endure and grow. But what about the werewolf's connection to the moon? Much of the folklore that would arise about werewolves early on described their transformations as being triggered by curses or trauma without the need of the moon. But that would soon change, for the moon has often been associated with things of depravity and insanity. In fact, the word lunatic comes from the word lunar, or lunaticus in Latin, meaning moonstruck. Some ancient Greeks believed the moon's gravitational pull affected human behavior, much like it influences tides. And in the Middle Ages, lunar madness was a term coined from full moons being linked to erratic behavior, sleepwalking, and violent outbursts, all traits linked to werewolves. It's easy to see how the connection between the moon and the cited behaviors of a werewolf were connected together, and men transforming into wolves during lunar cycles would eventually become a common accepted trait of werewolf lore. The moon represents cycles, hidden truths, and transformation, mirroring the werewolf's dual nature. But what about the werewolf's connection to silver bullets? King Lycaon and many of the earliest tales of werewolves discovered often painted the picture of werewolves as just people who transformed into wolves, with no special weapon required to kill them. Silver, however, was long associated with purity, healing, and the supernatural. It was used to ward off witches, break fairy spells, and dispel evil. Silver's mythic purity makes it the perfect antidote to the werewolf's primal corruption. And thus, with the advent of the gun, would come the idea that silver bullets would be one surefire way of slaying a werewolf. Our modern population owes much of what it knows and believes about werewolves to one particular movie, however. The 1941 film called The Wolfman cemented the trope, only a silver bullet can kill a werewolf. This movie also popularized other enduring tropes such as full moon transformations, cursed inheritances, and the humanoid wolf forms we associate most with the werewolves of today. Originally, werewolves were men who were cursed to turn into wolves. Throughout time, the werewolf became a person who transforms into a humanoid-style wolf hybrid by the light of the full moon. Werewolves often inherit the curse of lycanthropy from parents or are turned much like a vampire by being bitten by another werewolf. The werewolf represents the human struggle with inner darkness and repressed desires. The story of the werewolf is a tragedy of a lonely soul cursed to lose their sanity and even harm those they love. For some, it's just a fantasy, entertainment to give us a spooky thrill. For others, it is even deeper, a true reflection of our primal selves. And perhaps, just perhaps, for someone else, it's all too much more than that as they shiver nervously while counting down the days until the next full moon.